Howdy all, lovely to see you all again. Sorry it has taken me so long to get around to doing this, but I finally learned all three solo sections to Wake Up Dead. We're going to be looking at Dave's first solo, which kicks in at around 30 seconds, so let's take a look. Alright guys, before we get too excited, I need to do a quick disclaimer about the tuning. It's somewhere between standard tuning and E flat, so it's not quite all the way to E flat, but we do need to flatten it slightly. So what I would recommend that you do is just deal with that F sharp power chord, play along with the song a few times, and keep tuning your guitar till they're in tune, and then tune fourths apart and see how you go. So let's take a look at the first section. Alright guys, so we're going to start the first section on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and I'm going to do a big bend there. I'm going to do 2 bends, and I'm going to pinch harmonic both of those. So we will need a 24 fret guitar for this song. I forgot to mention that. We will need a whammy as well, especially for that last solo. We do need the 24th fret for that. So back to here again. I'm playing the 4th fret of the 3rd string as a bend with a squeal. When I bring the bend back down, I want to also do a whammy dive. Okay, so that's the first bit. And then we work down sort of an F sharp minor pentatonic run with a couple of the blues notes. So I do 2 bends again on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, but without a squeal this time. Okay, after I've done that, I want to play 2 of the 1st string, and I'm going to do a pull off from 5 to 2 on the 2nd. So we got, at the end of that, what I'm doing here is I'm sliding 4, 5, 4 on the 3rd string and pulling off to the 2. So we're going to go, at the end of that, I'm going to work through this phrase. Let's take that a bit slower. I want to do a pull off from 4 to 2 on the 3rd string, then jump to 4 of the 4th, and then back down to 2 of the 3rd. So we go. Let's go from the 2 bends now. Okay, then after that I want to roll down sort of a couple of bluesy notes here, so a bit of chromatic action. I'm playing 4, 3, 2 on the 4th string. Actually just plucking the 4th and then rolling pull-offs there. So I'm only plucking the first note and then pulling off to the 3 and then the 2, and then jumping to 4 of the 5th. So let's go from the 2 bends again into that pentatonic lick. Okay. Then after that, I want to go back to 2 of the 4th and then back to 4 of the 5th. So it'll go. To finish that off, I'm doing a hammer-on into a pull-off, going 2, 3, back to 2 on the 5th string, and then I pull off to the open note. To finish that whole phrase off, I'm going to do a pull-off from 2 to open on the 6th string. So we're going to go. Kind of reminds me a bit of Crazy Train actually. Anyway, let's go from the squealy bends at the start of the section, then we'll do it even slower with some tabs. Alright, let's try it again. One more time with some tabs. Okay, let's take a look at the second section. I want to go from just after that pull off, I'm going to slide from 2 to 4 on the 4th string, and then I'm going to go to this phrase. Let's slow that down. I've got a leading note from 5 of the 1st string, And most of this is just sort of triplety legato stuff. I'm going to play 9, 7, 5 on the first string. I'm going to pluck the 9 and then just pull off the next two notes. So we're going with the 5 as the leading note, then legatoing there, and I'm going to play 8, 7, 5 on the second string as a rolling legato thing, and then 7, 6, 4 on the third string. With the same kind of fingering there, I'm just moving on a diagonal. So I'm going. Okay, hopefully that's making sense. Then after that, I've got a bit of a chromatic thing here on the second string. I'm playing 7, 6, 5, still going with that triplet idea, and then I'm doing the same frets on the third string. So I go 7, 6, 5 on the third string. It is a little bit bluesy and a little bit weird at the same time, but it does sound pretty cool fast. Anyway, let's go from the start. We'll go from the slide in. At the end of that phrase, I go into this. I'm playing 6 of the 4th string, 4 of the 3rd, and then back to 6 of the 4th. A little bit of gentlemanly vibrato doesn't go astray either. At the end of that, I go. So I'll explain this to you. We want to do 2 on the 6th fret of the 4th, and then I slide over a fret. And then when I get there, I want to hit it 2 more times. So I'm going to do 2 6s to slide, and then 2 7s. And to finish that section, 9th fret on the 4th string. And that's all of section 2. So let's go from the slide at the start, all of the pull-offs, and that slidey bit at the end as well. One more time with some tabs. Okay guys, so let's have a look at the third section. I want to start from 4 of the 4th and then play 4 of the 3rd string as a bend up and back. But when I get to the bottom of that bend, I'm going to do a really long dive down and then bring it back up again. After I've brought the the whammy back up, I want to slide to 16 on the 3rd string. Now, my advice to you guys when you're doing big, hilarious slides like that is don't look at your fretting hand and follow it to your destination. If we finish the bend and we're whammying back up again, just look at where you're going to be, and it's most likely you're going to land there. If you're sort of focally there, that's most likely where your hand will finish. So let's go from the start of this section with all this bendy, whammy stuff in the slide, and then we'll move on to the fun, fast bit. Then we work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm playing 14 of the 2nd string, and then I want to do a pull off from 17 to 14. Then I jump to 18 of the 3rd, and then back to 14 of the 2nd string. You will notice that we're kind of doubling up on a few notes, especially that 18 of the 3rd, the 14 of the 2nd. It does have sort of a C-sharpy vibe twice there. So we're going. At the end of that, I want to do a pull off from 17 to 14 and then 19 to 14. So all together. Hopefully that's all making sense. Then I jump back to 18 of the 3rd string and then 14 of the 2nd. So we're going. Okay, at the end of that, I'm doing a pull off from 17 to 14 of the 2nd, and then a hammer on into a pull off, going 14, 17, back to 14 on the 1st string. So it'll go. And there is a bit of flat finger action with rolling the pointed there. A slight bar with my pointer sort of seems to work good for me. So you can do that. You don't want to have them ringing out together though, so try and get that roll. Let's go from when it gets fast and cray cray, and then we'll go from the start of the section relatively slowly, and then again with some tabs. Alright, slowly from the start of the section now. Hopefully that all makes sense. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's take a look at the last section. There is a couple of little complicated things in this one. It's pretty fast as well, so we'll try and break it down the best that we can. I want to start with 2 bends on 19 of the first string, and then I work into 14 as a single note leading in to a pretty hefty shred. Shred fest, we'll call it. So I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I want to start off by playing 19 of the first string and then rolling backwards by doing a pull off to 17 and 14. And I play 19 of the second string, so we're doubling up on that F sharp note. Then I go back to 14 of the first. Then after that, I'm going to do a pull off from 19 to 17 on the second and then hammer back to the 19. So we go. And I work into this phrase. What I'm doing here is I'm playing 14, 17, 14 on the first string as a hammer on into a pull off and then jumping to 14 of the second. So we go. Sorry, let's do that again. Let's try that from the start of the section from the 2 bends now. And to finish that little chunk off, I do the roll from the 19, 17, 14 again, and then finish that on 17 of the second string. So let's add that into the mix from the start of the 19. Hopefully that's all making sense. Now the next bit's pretty fast. It sounds like a lot of sort of random stuff, but I managed to break it down into 2 little patterns. There's a pattern that works with 5 notes and a pattern that works with 4 notes. We're going to start off with the 5-note pattern, and you'll see how this blends together when you're just counting in the patterns as opposed to trying to get 50 notes out at a time. It is pretty confusing. So we'll learn the 5-note pattern. I want to start off with the roll again, 19, 17, 14, and then I jump to 17 of the second string, and then jump back down to 14 of the first. And that's going to be our 5-note pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want to do that 3 times in a row. Hopefully that's making sense. So we've got 3 of those. Then I go into the 4-note pattern. Now let's learn that and then we'll put it in the mix with everything else. I'm going to do the pull off again, 19, 17, 14 on the first string, but hammer back to 17. And that's going to be our 4-note pattern. So I want to do the 5-note pattern 3 times or thrice and then end on the 4-note pattern. Hopefully that's making sense. So that's the first half of this really, really aggressive shred chunk. Now the next part that I do, I'm going to do a 5-note pattern, a 4-note pattern, 5 again, and then 4 again. And that's going to sound like this. So we'll do it all together. We're going to have 5-note pattern 3 times, then the 4, and then 5, 4, 5, 4. That's going to sound like this. Hopefully that's all making sense. Let's try it from the double 19 beat at the start. We'll get up to this point, and there's only a tiny bit left before we put it all together. Hopefully that's all making sense. Then to finish it off, I've got 2 quick triplets on the first string, a pull off on the second string, and then a big delicious bend. So let's go through that. The triplets that we've got are playing 19, 17, 14 again, just 2 of those. And then I've got a pull off from 17 to 14 on the second string, just up the minor pentatonic. And then I've got this bend here. I'm playing 17 of the second and 16 of the third, and I play them together as a chord and then just bend up the top note. So that last chunk, hopefully that's making sense. Let's do the whole thing relatively slowly, and then again, even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. first solo from Wake Up Dead. Stay tuned for solo 2 and 3, which I'll hopefully be uploading in the next coming weeks. See you guys.